I found this video, Why I Stopped Shouting Out Small YouTube Channels, from a large YouTube creator named Austin McConnell. And the moment I watched this video, I knew I had to talk about it. Howdy everyone, Nate here. The premise of this video is quite simple. You see, Austin used to make videos shouting out smaller YouTube creators. What Austin would do is he would find channels, or they would be recommended to him from his audience, of creators that they felt like deserved more attention than they were getting. Call it a diamond in the rough. And thus, Austin decided to publish this video, Why I Stopped Shouting Out Small Channels. But here's where it gets interesting. Because Austin is essentially saying it's not good for him to shout out small channels at all, he backs it up with several reasons. The first of which is this.
Here's why. YouTube has changed a lot since I got my first viral video, with subscriptions becoming way less influential in YouTube's recommendation algorithm over time. Having a big subscriber count can indicate a channel's popularity, maybe, but the algorithm now prioritizes viewer engagement metrics like watch time, click-through rates, and user satisfaction.
Austin is saying essentially that subscriber count doesn't matter anymore. And my response to that is yes, with a big fat asterisk on it. Yeah, like fat asterisk. Make it really fat. Yeah, like that. So let's dive into Austin's explanation of why that is.
Because on YouTube, your subscriptions don't matter. Being in a person's recommendations does. Here's how this looks on the back end, by the way. Let's take a look at one of my recent videos, for instance. I've got 1.4 million subscribers. That's too big to fail, right? If we come over here and take a look at the traffic sources, guess how many views came from folks' subscriptions feeds? It ain't 1.4 million. If you are an aspiring YouTuber, why are you wasting your time obsessing over this metric?
All right, I should note here that there are reasons why Austin has the subscriber count he does. He makes excellent YouTube videos. So don't sell yourself short there, Austin. However, this point he's making about subscription count not equating to viewership count or even spread count is very accurate. And that's backed up from my own experience working personally with large variety of YouTube creators, from very small to very large, and seeing that same thing that he just shared. So first thing here, is it actually that important to be in their recommendations feed over subscriber count? Yes, absolutely, 100%. And essentially now the way you're trying to get into people's recommendations feed is by doing three things. A, making good content. B, publishing that content regularly enough that the algorithm can dip into it. And C, letting the algorithm have the time to test it with audiences and get that real organic viewership data back so that they know which audience likes your content and they could recommend it to them in the future. However, there is a but I need to add in here. Does subscriber count flat out not matter anymore? I take a more nuanced approach and I say, yes, actually it does in some cases. One, for current monetization requirements, do you have to have a certain amount of subscribers in order to get partnered with the YouTube Partner Program? Yes, you do. And after that, is it important? Yes, for less well-informed sponsors. Now let me explain what I mean here. For most companies, they are getting in the know and they understand that viewership actually equates to attention. But there's also the case, and it will continue to be the case, in my opinion, until YouTube completely removes subscriber numbers from being visible on YouTube at all. Maybe they just sunset it completely like Austin wants done in this video. Until that happens, there is still a perception, a human psychology perception of a higher number showing more credibility, and the same translates through to sponsorships. And I won't speak for all companies, but I have seen a trend to be more likely to pay higher amounts for sponsorships if your channel size is larger. So what about after that? Does subscriber count at that point? Yes, it still does. And this is why. Someone that subscribes to your channel, they subscribe because they think, I like something about this channel. I'm going to remember it for the future. However, the main problem with them subscribing to your channel from an audience action standpoint is they can only do it once, which is why I always encourage people to make booping the like button on their videos their primary call to action, because that can be done on every video, not just once. Did you catch that? That was a meta joke, and Meta, not the company. I said boop the like button on this video if you're enjoying it. Okay, let's move on. But really, I want to ask you this, and maybe you answer it in the comments if you feel so inclined. How do you think your behavior would change on the YouTube platform if subscriber count was completely eliminated from everything? It was no longer visible. What do you think you would do differently as a viewer? Currently, I don't think YouTube is going to sunset the subscriber count number. And here is why, if for no other reason than for the creators, the content creators like you and I. It gives a goal or a number to focus on. In fact, I have been so fascinated by the idea of growth from one number to another on this YouTube platform that I made an entire video where I looked into the real differences between a small channel and a large channel. I actually interviewed real people, but I'll talk about that later. We need to talk about reason number 2 that Austin gives here. Doing shoutouts for small channels is actually harmful to them.
It sounds weird to say, but not all traffic is good traffic. When someone subscribes to a small channel just to show support and then doesn't interact with that channel again, it can actually hurt more than it helps.
Yes, yes, yes. 100% Austin is hitting the nail on the head here. Not all traffic is good traffic on YouTube. This doesn't even have to apply only to small creators, by the way. This applies to almost any channel, as long as there's a ratio large enough of traffic or new viewership or new subscribers that come from an unrelated audience, this is still significant. You see, for most YouTube channels that want a shout out or they think, hey, I'll subscribe to you if you subscribe to me, and other such techniques, my belief here is that they don't understand this one fundamental thing that would probably change all of that behavior around. To be successful with an organic YouTube channel, you need your audience to behave like your audience. And I will go so far as to say that anything else is damaging to your content. This is why I am so adamant when I do a roast video or I talk about another channel and I talk positively of them, like I'm talking positively, hopefully I'm talking positively of Austin here. As much as possible, I always back it up with another big fat asterisk that essentially says you can go check them out, but only subscribe and watch their videos if you would already naturally do so. Don't do it just to support them. In this video, Austin gives a great example, a hypothetical that seems to be based in reality example of a pretend Lego channel, which by the way, I approve of because Lego channels are awesome.
You subscribed to Barry because I asked you to subscribe to Barry, but honestly, you're not really into any of that Lego stuff. You were just trying to show support. Maybe you watched the video that I shouted out, but you're not going to stick around and watch the thank you video and keep up with this guy all the time.
Yeah. This is the sad reality of almost all support done on the YouTube platform. We all say, hey, I want to support you. I want to support this small creator, any number of things. And the sad reality is support for a creator is not the right kind of motivation for an audience. They will not stick around. Supporting a creator is not the same as liking that creator and liking their content. Those two feel like they're similar, but they're actually miles apart. No matter how much you try to coerce people into liking content, inevitably, they will fall back to watching what they enjoy watching. Their natural interests are going to take over. And as Austin so eloquently follows this section with in this video, the algorithm notices that and it follows. So if a channel suddenly gets a whole bunch of new viewership, but then they don't stick around, the algorithm can actually take that, and this is something that I think can be addressed by YouTube, but they can actually take that as a sign that the older content is also not as good. And I have seen channels more times than I would like to admit that have a big boost, but it's the wrong kind of traffic. And afterwards, if they started off here, they have a boost, and then afterwards, they're down here. It's not cool, but it happens. Also, I just realized I paused on a really awesome moment in Austin's video here. Check that out. I'm gonna keep that face up behind me while I talk about this. When was the last time you stopped to think, dang, this algorithm is literally spreading my content with total strangers anywhere in the world for free? I think it's worthwhile to pause and appreciate what YouTube has accomplished here. As much as we like to complain or it makes mistakes, which it really does, it's pretty darn cool. The interesting thing about YouTube audiences, though, is that behavior changes according to where you are in your growth. So when we spoke earlier about how supporting someone is not the same as liking someone, there is still a factor of support for smaller YouTube channels that can be a massive advantage if you play it well. I mean, think of it this way. Do you have any YouTube creators that you found when they were very small size and you subscribed or you decided, hey, I like this creator, I'm gonna support them, and then they're now larger and you just feel this sense of pride, like, dang, I was there from the beginning. You know what I'm talking about? That supportive motive shouldn't be ignored. It just needs to be acknowledged as just one of the factors, not the only factor that will lead to growth. And this is, again, why I made an entire video diving into how life actually evolved for a small creator versus a large creator so that you and I can understand how we need to change in order to not be stuck in a smaller channel size perpetually. But again, more on that video later. Now, Austin adds some more very good reasons why he stopped shouting out small channels. And there's more I could react to, but in the interest of fair use, I'll let you watch Austin's excellent video if you're interested. See what I did there? I shouted out a small YouTube channel. Oh, Austin, you'd be so disappointed in me. So we take all this and we say, Nate, what should I do about this? I'm going to recommend you join my Radical Creators group. And here is why. I like to do data reviews where I pull a bunch of questions and I say, hey, what has been your experience, or what's the data from your channel? What's your top performing thumbnail or your lowest performing thumbnail? And I do my best, as with my roast videos that I have fun with, to always be respectful and create the kind of video that you would want to see as a result. The other thing I'm going to recommend, as we keep Austin's awesome face here behind me, is focus on real growth. Subscriber count is a good metric that you can use to count, but I would propose an even better thing to track is viewership, specifically baseline viewership. Whenever you publish any video on your channel, what's the lowest that it goes to? Those are the people that, as that number rises, will watch every video. They really appreciate you, they like your content, and they're there because they want to be there. And also, your behavior changes when you start thinking differently.